So you guys, I figured today is my last chance to do Christmas because Christmas is almost here. So I have here Iron Orchid Designs new frames mold. You guys, I know you've seen them before, but I had to do a video with them because they're fabulous. So you can see I've already poured the resin in the molds, but we're going to make some Christmas ornaments, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it. And I have a few tips and tricks to make it super easy. Hi, my name is Royce Hunt Bell, owner and operator of Roycycled Treasures. Let's get started. So, I did not go through pouring the resin, you guys, but I have multiple videos about showing the resin. So make sure that you guys check them out. I'll put it up here so you guys can find them. So I've already have these in the mold and my resin is set. So I'm just gonna pop them out. I figured we could do the fun part together, right? So the two molds that I'm actually using today, one is called Cameos. You guys, it's gorgeous. It has all these yummy cameos in it. And the other one is IOD's frame mold. So these are the two that I'm using today for this project. But I wanted to make some really beautiful Christmas ornaments. These ones we won't use today. I had some extra resin. So when you guys are pouring resin and you have extra in your cup, don't waste it. Just pour you some molds because you can set these aside and use them for another day. But these are the ones that I want to use for today. And I pulled out my brush stash, but these brushes are not like super wonderful brushes because I'm going to be using like an oil-based paint today to paint these, and I don't want to ruin my good brushes. So I'm going to use these. I have my little supply caddy here that I'm going to be using, and this just has like jewelry supplies in here. And I know we're making ornaments, but I want to cheat, so I'm going to dip into my jewelry supply to make these ornaments. I have these, and I'll show you guys those in a few minutes. This is like my secret weapon right here. It makes it super easy to make your ornaments. And then I have this really beautiful ribbon. You guys can tell I've been playing with it already, that I have here. And I love it because the edges are frayed, and it just reminds me of like the old French brocante jewelry that you see. And that's kind of the look that I want to go for with this. And so I'll be using this ribbon to hang them. And that is all that I will need out of my stash. Although I do see little pieces of tissue paper in here, so I'm going to steal those. So before we get started, I'm thinking that we should decoupage first. So you see the frames on this one, right? Isn't that just gorgeous? It's such a cool like start to a project. So this is, I'm going to use the big one first. My plan is to decoupage something absolutely gorgeous here in the center, and then to paint the edges. And then with these two, we're just going to paint them, and then we'll put these on the back. Did I pull out the wrong color? They come in different colors, you guys. It has like a little flat area here, and you glue this part to the top, and then you have a hole here that you can feed through anything that you want. So whether you want to use string or ribbon or I don't know, whatever you want to use. So instead of battling with your molds to try to get holes in them, you can just glue these on the back, and they're good to go. And I'm going to be using brass because that's the color I'm going to use to paint my molds. So I want them to match. I'm going to go ahead and paint the inside of this before I decoupage. And I'm actually going to cheat and use one of these brushes because they're small. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just, when you use the resin, it can be really slick. And I want to make sure I'm not going to have adhesion issues with my decoupage. So I went ahead and did a quick coat of white paint just to give this some kind of tooth so that when I decoupage my paper on there, I don't have any issues with it sticking. I have my huge cache of recycled decoupage papers with me today, and these are all of the holiday designs. I'm like kind of sad because Christmas is almost here, which means no more Christmas crafting. So you know how I always tell you guys to save your bits? It's because you can use them for projects like this in particular. I could take this little guy's face and put it in this in the frame mold, I don't know what I'm going to put in there yet, so I'm like legit looking to see what I'm going to put in there. I have this stamp cut out already because I thought about putting this in one of the smaller ones. There are so many options for what I could put in here, and I really don't know. I don't know what I want to do. So I think that I am going to actually use the face of this angel on this large one. I think that's going to be beautiful. And so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I think I'll go and use my ornament like this just so I can see. And I will go ahead and cut that piece out so that I can use it on my ornament. And I think this is going to be super pretty. Shh, don't tell anybody that I cut this out of this big old piece of paper. But it's my paper. So I think that's going to be beautiful in there, right? So I'm going to use that in that one. And she's really ethereal, so I feel like I need to find something that matches that for my other one. Maybe. Or maybe I'll just use, this one is smaller. So what if I use, let's see, her dress is gold. I'll use the same piece of paper. So this one is the Fine Arts decoupage paper. And again, you guys, the Roycycled decoupage papers are 20 inch by 30 inch. They're huge. And this one has 5 different blocks that you could use on different projects. And so I kind of want my ornaments to feel the same. Not to be matchy-matchy, but just kind of feel the same a little bit. I'm thinking that this bottom design, which is super cute, would be nice if I could pull something out of there. That it would be really cool in here. I'm just trying to decide which house I want to use. I'm going to use one of the houses. I think I'm going to use this one. It's on the gold side, and I think it's going to match her really well. So I'm just going to cut this section out, and then I can make my final choice. But if you have like tiny bits and pieces left over, you could absolutely use those bits and pieces in the frame molds. And it'll be super fun to be able to repurpose even the smallest pieces that you have. So I have my frame. The paint's actually already dried. And you guys know what? I want to decoupage the back too. So I'm going to paint the back really quickly. Let's look for something we can put on the back. We don't want the back doesn't have to be like a highlight, right? It could be like a background design. That'll be really beautiful though. And I think I have an idea. This is one of the Christmas project blocks. And there is a buck with music sheets here. But I only want the music sheets. So I'm going to cut that part out. And I'm going to use that as kind of the background design for the backs of my pieces. But I'm not going to cut my buck though. We'll save him for another project. I have an idea, you guys. Now I'm off script. I'm always off script. So we'll let those dry, but let's do some painting. We have these 2 gorgeous pieces. And even though they look like jewelry, I think they'll make a beautiful ornament on a tree. So let's paint these. And I have here some liquid leaf. This is classic gold. This one is. But I also have this one, which is brass. And the brass is the one that I'm going to be using for today's project. This is a stinky product, you guys. I know I usually use like non-toxic stuff. This is stinky. So if you wanted to use something that was non-toxic or that wasn't stinky, you could use, I have my Posh pigments I could use to paint these, or even like Wise Owl's heavy metal metallics would be pretty too. I just like the way this color looks on these, and so that's why I really wanted to use these. And I'm using this really fluffy brush because I feel like it's less likely to leave brush marks on my projects than the more stiffer brushes. And so when you use this, you want to make sure that you stir it up like the entire time that you're using it, because the pigments separate really easy. And in this particular color, the brassy color, there is like this really pink color, and there's this really orange pigment. And so you want to make sure that you have both in order to get the right tone. And I probably could have primed this before painting it, and I would have gotten a better result with my first coat, but we're just going to use this first coat as our priming coat. Now, we talked about using your good brushes with this paint. One thing you can do is you can use alcohol to clean your brushes, and you'll get the majority of the paint out and your brush will be fine. I'm using vodka because I use it on my furniture to remove odors, but if you have rubbing alcohol, that works too. So I just have a little bit of alcohol to just pull out the oil-based paint out of my brush, because I don't want it to get hard, because we're going to use it again on our Christmas ornaments. But I think I want to decoupage my ornament first. So now that our ornaments are dry, I'm going to do the backs first. And I'm going to be using just Wise Owl varnish today to do my decoupage. And the Wise Owl varnish is a water-based top coat. So if you have a water-based top coat or a sealer, you know, some people call them sealers, some people call them top coats, but they're all the same. You can use that to decoupage. You don't have to necessarily have this one. So I am just going to decoupage the back of this super quick. You guys, I have a lot of videos with step-by-step instructions on how to decoupage. So if you guys would like to see those, I do have a playlist with nothing but decoupage. And I'm just gonna put it on there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And on my other decoupage videos, I know it seems like I'm always being super precious, but it's because I want to show you guys step by step. But once you get the hang of it, it's not super precious. You can get through your projects pretty quickly. And so I'm going to set this one aside and let it dry a little bit before I mess with it. And then we can do the back of this one. And then what I'm going to do to, I don't want to take this off. So normally I would either use like a sanding block to remove it, but there are a lot of details on this frame, right? I am not going to go around each and every one of those details with a sanding block to remove that. So I'm actually just going to use a little bit of water and a tiny brush to cut my paper around these details, and it's going to look, you'll never know. It'll look like I sanded it. It'll still be super clean. So just a little bit of water, and I'm just going to trace around the edge of my frame. I am going to get as close to the edge of my frame as possible with the water, so that when I pull my paper, it comes off. And this would be better if you waited for your decoupage to dry to do this, but I'm pulling up this way because I'm kind of cheating and using the edge of the frame to cut the paper. So I'm pulling up this way, but that way I'll get a nice clean edge on my decoupage, and it's a lot faster than trying to sand that off, because we would be here until like, I don't know when, trying to make that happen, and we don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I have a few like lingering pieces here. I'm just gonna pull those off, but for the most part I am good to go. And so easy peasy lemon squeezy, that's how we get that done. And so now the back of our ornament will look finished because it'll have a decoupage back on there. And then for the front on this one, we're going to be putting this little house. I thought this was super cute. So I'm just going to use my nail, you guys, to score this. But I'm trying to hold my paper in place though, so it doesn't move around, because this frame is beveled. So it's not flat. So you really want to try to hold it in place while you do this. But by scoring my paper, it's going to give me a really good idea of where I need to trim in order to decoupage this piece into my molds. So there's two ways of doing this. I can cut exactly around this circle and put it in there, or I can overcut just a bit and use my razor to trim. I like overcutting just a little bit, because if I undercut, then it's going to be harder to fix it, right? If I overcut just a little bit, it gives me a little room for error. So I can go in and clean anything up versus having it be too small and then having a white area around a portion of my frame. So I've trimmed this piece and I'm just going to decoupage it right in here. And I really only want to get varnish where I want my paper to stick, right? And I want to make sure I get full coverage because I don't want to have a big old bubble in the middle of my ornaments. And let's get this guy in here. And you see how I cut it over a little bit, and that's fine because I can go in with my razor blade and trim that. But at least I know I'll have full coverage and I won't have any areas where the white is showing through. That is going to be so cute. Okay, let's set that aside and let it dry, and then I'll come back and trim it. And then we're going to do the same steps with this one. And then when we come back, I'll show you guys how you can use jewelry bells to make your ornaments super easy to hang on your tree. So now that I have my pieces decoupaged, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and paint these with the Stinky Gold paint. But what we're going to do is we're going to take these jewelry bells here, bells, not like a bell, like a ring a bell. And there's like a flat section here on the back, and then you have the ring here. And so I'm going to take and glue the top of this one to the back of my piece, and then that way I can string whatever I want to string on them. And so we're going to get them painted first though, and then we're going to get our bells on, and then we're going to show some pictures of how gorgeous they are. I just love, love, love this project. And make sure I shake it up really good and get a couple of coats on here. So now that we have her, she's all painted and she's decoupaged. We can put the bell on the back. I did get a little paint on the back. Maybe I should save the decoupage for last, huh? I got a little on the back, but I'll just go through and make it look intentional somehow. But I do want to put my bell on. And so what I'm going to do is take my E6000 and I'm going to drop a little bit of glue right here. And then I'm going to glue it there. Now it's really important that you glue it on the right side of the bell. One side is smooth and one side has little holes on it. The side with the little holes on it is actually what's going to help it adhere to your surface, and it's also going to make it so that your the hanger is flush with your piece. And so I am just going to take a little bit of E6000, super easy, you guys, and we're going to put that on there, and then we will be all done, and we'll have these gorgeous Bricance inspired ornaments to put on our tree. And I think I bought some little faux candles, so I think I'm going to put some candles on my tree and put a bunch of these, you know, beautiful vintage French inspired ornaments on my tree, and I think she's going to be fabulous. And so that's it today, you guys. Just a recap of what we used. We used Iron Orchid Designs cameo mold to make these beauties here, and then we used the frame mold to make these two, and we decoupaged from Roycycled Decoupage in each of those. And we just took some jewelry bells. My glue isn't set yet, so I shouldn't be meddling with this, but we took some jewelry bells that I found on Amazon. I have the link below for you guys, and we just glued it to the back. So now I can string anything I want to hang this. Jute string, ribbon, fish and wire. You can use whatever you want. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Remember, if you like the tutorials that we have on this page, to subscribe below. If you hit the bell, you'll actually get an alert every time we upload a new video. You guys can find the supplies I used today at roycycled.com. I'll make sure to put the link below. Thank you so much. You have a blessed day.